Seems there are many blocks to a new stadium, a $6 billion deficit, a divided legislature, a list of high priorities to fix, like GAMC, transportation, early childhood ed. But all three candidates for governor have pledged to work for a new stadium.
Will you lead the charge? This is a yes or no. Will you lead
I lead the charge, but I also have to get on Dan's show because I'm the one who has laid out a very specific plan. I have talked about it. I've also acknowledged that in the past, before I was unemployed, the Vikings were a client of my previous company. I didn't work on it, but that has nothing to do with my position. I think the Vikings are an important asset to Minnesota. I think Minnesota has been an important asset to the Vikings and the NFL. So I've laid out a very specific plan. I've said we have to get it done in 2011.
Will you lead the effort?
Absolutely. I've already been doing it.
Mr. Emmer, will you lead that effort in this environment at this time?
I'm going to lead the effort to make sure that all existing businesses in this state, including the Minnesota Vikings, not only survive but thrive. It's all of them. You're not going to get me to say this business is more important than that. There will be a Viking stadium. I don't think you have to do it with general fund tax dollars, but you can certainly facilitate an agreement with local authorities such as what was proposed at the legislature this year, and it will get done.
Mr. Dayton?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. He will lead it.
Independent party candidate here, Tom Horner, who's got a great plan and wants to talk to you guys about how he can help keep the Vikings here in Minnesota. Let's everybody give a warm round of applause for Tom Horner.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. I just want to say a couple of things. One is that this is another issue where it really comes down to leadership. We can save the Vikings. We can build a new stadium. We can keep this important asset in Minnesota. And we can do it in a way that says to all taxpayers, we'll be fair. If you don't want to pay for a Viking stadium, my plan says you don't have to do it. We'll protect education, we'll protect health care, we'll protect infrastructure, the other important assets of Minnesota, and we'll do it in a way that keeps the Vikings here and gives Minnesota an important new public asset. So a couple of quick points. First, I think the Vikings have been an important asset to Minnesota, and we ought to keep them. We've got a couple of corporate recruiters in the crowd. Christie's over there, recruits for the Fortune 500 companies in Minnesota. They'll tell you how important it is to have the Vikings as an asset to recruit the top talent we need to Minnesota. It is an important economic generator, but it's also part of why we want to live in Minnesota. Look at what Target Field has done for Minnesota. The Vikings draw about 25% or more of their fan base from out of Minnesota. We're bringing new income into the state. That's important for us. But it's mostly important because that's part of the kind of state we want to live in. A state that has major league outdoor recreation, major league arts, and major league sports. So let me tell you just a couple of quick highlights on how we're going to pay for the Viking Stadium. First, we hold the Vikings accountable, ask them to pay 40% of the cost and sign a 40-year lease. Give us the predictability that we need to do the bonding in a way that's fair. Secondly, we put a tax on all of the admissions to the stadium. Third, we say to the Vikings, you get all of the revenue from Vikings events, all of the revenue. But for all other events, major conventions, NCAA Final Four, monster truck rallies, the public gets all of that revenue. In-stadium advertising, concessions, suites, ticket sales, all of that revenue comes back to the public to help us pay for this stadium. And then as backup revenue, we'll add some of the gaming machines to Canterbury and running aces, and that'll make sure that taxpayers are protected. So if you don't want to pay for a stadium, don't come to the stadium, don't gamble, you don't pay one penny. If you want a Viking stadium, I need your vote on November 2nd.
For the state, we need the Vikings here. We can't let them flee from the set, so we're definitely in there. Obviously, those are two important topics, but I mean, I would put that on a pedestal right now. With everything that's been going around, we need this team.
It's kind of hard for if you got a Warren Moon shirt on.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Need a new stadium?
Absolutely.
We got three candidates for governor saying they want one.
Oh, dude.
One showed up over there, Tom Horner. How do you feel about this?
Well,
think public money should go for it?
Yep, I think the public should go for it. It's something that we should have.
What's more important than a stadium to you?
providing for the needs of the truly destitute in this state. There's a comment.
Dumbass. Look at all the people out here. You idiot. Get the hell out of here.
We got a few comments.
There you go.
New stadium.
Yeah, an outdoor one.
Do you want public money on it?
Sure, I don't live here.
Where are you from?
Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Well, I know we have actually a lot of fans, and if we had a stadium, we'd be bringing you in even more, wouldn't we?
We'd be here. Oh, yeah.
I keep thinking because actually I can look down on the stadium from where I live, and so I think about it quite often that I know that there are retractable type of domes, and it may be too late to convert it to that, but I'm just thinking there must be some way of redoing it instead of having to purchase more land and then have that sit there vacant most of the year probably. The only other thing I can think of to use that for would be for high schools.
Thanks. I also asked a few homeless people this morning if they wanted public money in the stadium, and they didn't know there was a Vikings game today.
Yeah, so there is a lot of that. It seems like it's more for a certain status of person to be able to be involved. But as far as public money, I think we should just look at any other opportunities for raising the money to do it.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Total vote for him if he adds another 7 porta potties.
The homeless men I talked to on the way to the game, the ones that didn't know there was a game today, they wouldn't go on camera with me, and they admitted they didn't even know we needed a new stadium. I'm not so sure we're going to fix GAMC, transportation, or early childhood ed, but I think we'll get a new stadium. Craig Stelmacher for The Uptake.